Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Battle Chef Brigade? That's quite the title, isn't it? It's brought to you by Trinket Studios, published by Adult Swim. And this is a game in which you murder monsters and then cook what is left for a delicious dinner. An interesting combination of two genres, a brawler-style game and a match 3 style game. Now the question is, do they mash together well? Is it a recipe for success? How many more food-related puns can we cram in here? Quite a few, I would imagine, into the pot. Well, quick look at the options menu before we jump in and have a look at what this is all about. I didn't even notice there was a rumble option. I like turning that off. It's preferred. I am using a controller for this. You can absolutely use keyboard. It's totally fine. Just for side-scrollers in particular, I do prefer a controller. There's your controls, at least on the keyboard side. They're for the most part rebindable. I believe you can rebind the face buttons, but probably not the analog stick. Relatively simple set of controls. And in terms of graphics options, well, there really aren't all that many, because this will run on a toaster. You got resolution options, full screen, and VSync, and that is pretty much about it. There's a PC version and a Switch version of this, and when it comes to what it contains, there is a fairly lengthy campaign. I'm about 6 hours into it. I'm on chapter 4 of 6. There's also a daily cook-off challenge, and a set of challenges which are either the restaurant rush and break the dishes, which is to hone your platforming skills. So a little bit extra content. The daily cook-off's pretty good since you compete across a worldwide scoreboard. What is missing, what's kind of conspicuous by its absence here, considering this is a game about a cook-off duel, is any kind of split-screen multiplayer mode to do that with another person. That's a fairly glaring omission. Is it the kind of thing that could be added in post-launch? Yeah, I would think so. I wouldn't expect them to ever add online to it, but it does seem like the kind of thing that is missing from a game about cook-off battles. Being able to do that with another person would be great. Alright, I'm going to jump in where I left off, and I'll show you what's going on and how this game, as far as I'm concerned at any rate, is more than the sum of its parts. Alright, this town is where you'll be spending most of your time, and it contains mini-games, a shop, the ability to challenge various people to cook-offs, as well as practice in the kitchen. The whole point of the game is you're part of the Battle Chef Brigade that hunts monsters, keeps the kingdom safe, and also happens to cook. Now, in this town, there are daily challenges you can do for extra cash. This cash will let you buy things at the shop, which include various items that will help your cooking, as well as your combat. The loadout can be found right here. You can bring in some little ingredients for cooking, 3 different kinds of cooking pot, which all have different characteristics, and some items for combat as well. So let me give you an example of how these minigames work. So the Restaurant Rush is a time trial, in which you have to match as many patterns in the match 3 as possible, as quickly as you can, and before the customers leave. So let's try and do just that. There's a little fire pattern there, which is not that. I am also very bad at match 3 games. You may have probably, yes, I think you probably have noticed that. There we go. That's that one. There we go. And these get more and more complex the further you get into the game. Surprising nobody. That would look good if only I had a blue on that side, which I currently do not. And I'm breaking things, and everything's horrible. Some of these ingredients, as you probably figured out, are fragile and break after too many moves, which is not ideal. And it does make the game significantly tougher, and there are so many orders coming this way, god damn it. It's a panic. It's a complete and total panic. The main game mode is the cook-off battle mode, which combines the two things, the brawling and the hunting, along with the actual cooking itself. And that is also very much timed. The Restaurant Rush, though, is a lot worse in that respect. There we go. That's that one matched. I'm not doing amazingly well here, but not doing too terribly either. It's a good way to get a little bit extra cash and to also practice your speed in matching. In this case, it's not really matching 3, but getting certain color layouts. It's a fun little minigame to play. And it's entirely optional. Because Honestly, some of the minigames are quite tough, including the puzzle mode, which requires you to attain a very specific score, which I found now is nigh on impossible for me. I can't figure it out for the life of me because I'm an idiot when it comes to puzzles. There we go. It's pretty hectic, which is the way that I would describe the vast majority of the game, actually. The whole thing is massively hectic and a huge challenge to get right. There we go. And that's what makes the cook-offs quite interesting. There we go. Get a little bit of extra cash. Cool. Head over to the shop and see if there's anything worth picking up. Cooking items are usually the best thing to go for. I found that upgrading combat isn't really at this stage necessary. And this is more than halfway through the game. I just haven't really found the combat to be particularly challenging. So that's the main reason as to why I don't really buy combat items. We're gonna challenge this one. How about a cook-off? So this is the main component of the game, and this is the part that you're going to judge as to whether or not you are actually going to enjoy this. So I'm going to take a combination of cookware. There we go. Some different ingredients. That should work fine. Now, you don't know exactly what the challenge is going to be before you jump in, so you want your loadout to be relatively balanced. You could bring a bunch of stuff along which favors the fire element, but if you then get a judge that's after the water element instead, well, not going to be too helpful. So you do want to give yourself a more flexible loadout where you can. For the love of the all right. And it is time for a cook-off challenge. Now, the way that this works, as I mentioned, is you are given a set of dishes which you have to cook for the judges, and the higher quality the gems in your dish, the more score you will generally get. In order to level up gems, you usually have to match 3. In this case, this guy wants level 3 green and level 3 blue in his dish if he can get it. And she's all in on the earth as well. And there is a special ingredient. If you use this, you get bonus points. If you miss out, you will be penalized for that. All right. Let us begin. So that's my pantry. I need to go and gather stuff to fill it up. And in this case, we're heading down to the mine in order to do it. Now I have 8 minutes to create my wonderful culinary masterpiece. And usually you find ingredients by killing monsters. And different monsters have different parts that you can get. So in the process of killing this stuff, you have to figure out, well, what exactly is it that I want out of all of this? What parts do I need in order to make a really good dish? Well, in this case, as we're probably aware, they're really a big fan of the green. So we'll try and grab that if we can. There's some green there. My satchel is currently full. We'll avoid that giant monster and probably come back to that later. The actual combat system is pretty good, honestly. It's very responsive. It's got a nice brawler feel. There's plenty of juggling involved. There's some magic that you can do. That's all good stuff. All right. See if we can get some good matches here. So I'm going to dump 2 of my special ingredients into this pot because I'll be able to level these up instantly to level 3. And the way that you do that is by dropping them into the pot and then by stirring. There we go. I've got a couple of level 3 ingredients on there. Let's see what we can do here. So I have some lantern fruit. That would probably be pretty good. But as you might notice, it's fragile. If I move it around too much, it is going to break. Good way of getting a match on both of these would be to drop some rainbow in there, which will match anything. There we go. And in this case, this is a combo pot. So I do actually get additional score if I get a combo, which I would have done, but I completely misthought the order in which I'm shuffling things. There we go. So it's a little bit slow on that. And is there anything I could drop in there? I could match 2 here quite easily. There we go. And probably another one right there. So I'm trying to get the highest quality that I possibly can, but then also setting up the ingredients in such a way that I can actually make a dish out of them. Space consideration is really, really important. You can't just dump anything in a pot because outside of special items, there really isn't a way to actually remove things once they're in the pot. You can take things out and put it in a different pot, but overall, you have to try and fill the pot with the optimal number of ingredients of the highest possible level, while also including the special ingredient and whatever preferences that the judges happen to have. And that actually requires a really good amount of forward planning. It might seem simple. It really, really isn't. With 3 different pots going, and a lot of different ingredients which have a ton of different colors and levels, it is challenging, to say the least, to actually get this right. Alright, what should we do? Okay, so we got a bit more green, so I'm thinking, alright, let's make use of that. There we go. Let's quickly get these extra matches. That's going to get us some level 3 greens. That's good. That's what we like to see. But we do also want to use this Cragmore shell, because it is part of the recipe, so can throw it in there. You'll notice that actually has some bone. If I get 3 bone in a row, I'll be able to combine those in order to make a rainbow gem. And I'm also avoiding things like poison gems where possible. If I leave poison in the dish, well, needless to say, they're not particularly happy with that. And at the moment, this dish is overwhelmingly fire, which is not actually something that the judges asked for. But I could grab this out of there, add that to the mixture, and these green gems will most likely resolve that problem. If I match up these poison right here, usually in another pot, this would work just fine. If I pick it up and probably put it in this one, then the combination should work, I think. Nope, I am incorrect. It's a match 4, so if I want to get rid of the poison, I've got to be able to drop that in there. The problem is, as you probably noticed, there's not enough space now. That's what I was talking about when it came to the planning. It's really easy to completely mess this up. It's like, oh, this is going really, really well. In reality, no, it's really, really not. And I've got 4 minutes left to get the combos I need. So, blue and green, and this one green. This would be fine. I could probably make this work, but I really, if possible, want to try and get rid of that poison. If I dropped a rainbow droplet in there, that usually matches with anything. So if I stir that around, there we go. I can get rid of that poison. That's good. But now we're left in the same sort of situation where we have a little bit more poison than we would like there. Better go out and get some more ingredients. It's a crazy little game, isn't it? And when I said it's more than the sum of its parts, I certainly wasn't kidding. The aspect of the brawling is actually well fleshed out, not particularly difficult, but well fleshed out and satisfying. And leaves you in a situation where you don't want to spend too long collecting ingredients for obvious reasons. But it is literally the only way that you can get what you need in order to make your dish in the first place. And there is a lot of planning that goes into it. If you dump the wrong ingredients in, you just throw things in willy-nilly, the combination, the dish that you get by the end, is going to be an absolute mess. So it's more cerebral than I think it maybe looks like at first glance. There we go, we can get a little bit more green in there. That's good, that's good. If we stir that up there, we can get another match. That's now level 2, that's now level 3. This is all good. If I then pick this up and drop it in here, about there. I still need the... yeah, I can still maybe get the poison here if I match this up correctly. That got rid of one. There we go. That popped all the poison. And this is something of a recipe now, but I've only got 2 minutes left. Okay, so what do I do here? Well, I need to do a combo of 4. It's doable. Throw the claw in. Of course, that's a recipe ingredient. And if we can maybe fit the Hydra neck in there, which we can't. This is the problem. I don't have any space now. Nope. Gonna have to go and get another ingredient. I need one more blue. If I can get a 3rd blue gem in there, then this might work out. If I'm lucky. I would like to see the combat being a little bit more challenging. I understand why it isn't. Simply because, well, frankly, the cooking part is difficult enough. And this is really just the time constraint that they throw in order to make that cooking component even more stressful. And also, of course, to very much fit with the theme that you are a battle chef. But considering how good the brawling feels, it's actually almost a little bit disappointing that you don't end up having to utilize the systems in the brawling a little bit more. You can really just button bash. There's not a lot of precision really involved. Okay, oh god, I've got 60 seconds left, barely any space. If I throw some watery sauce in, I could change the color of these ingredients. That might do the trick. Is it enough? If I match them up and don't break them, yes. Need a matchup of 4 without breaking these. They're fragile. It's not going to work, is it? Nope, I broke it. Ah, no, it's a disaster. It's a complete and total disaster. Right, I've got 25 seconds left. Can I throw something in to somehow salvage this dish? Probably not. Hang on, maybe just a little bit more green. We can get a little bit more green in there. Cook it in there. 10 seconds. Oh god, I put poison in it now as well. That's not gonna be good. Pick it up. Add it to the dish. Get a little bit extra points out of it, and that's it. Time is up. Didn't quite get to put it on the right plate. That was probably terrible. But it is damn stressful and pretty damn hard to commentate over the top of it, I might add. Let's see how she did. A lot better than me, most likely. She got the earth in there. 124 points. Now, I'll be judged by the fact of, did I use the ingredient they asked me to? Did I get the right flavors in there? Well, I left poison in it, which isn't good. And I didn't get enough water in there, so I get penalized for that. And that was awful. That was a complete and total disaster. Will it be salvaged by the other one? I'm going to go with probably not, considering the points here. Yeah. I think I got nailed to the wall on that one. But it's a cool combo. It makes the game more than the sum of its parts. It's a basic brawler plus a match 3. I actually did really well here, surprisingly, on that one. I don't think I won overall, but that dish actually ended up pretty good, all things considered. Oh well. Something we can try again later. The combo works surprisingly well. I think I'd just like to see a bit more on the brawling side of it. Because it feels so very, very good. And I expected them to really leave that by the wayside when it came to the actual gameplay itself. Because the focus, of course, is on the cooking. But the brawling does feel good. It's incredibly responsive. The juggling feels awesome. There's sufficient amount of moves and combos going on. And of course, you can buy a bunch of upgrades, which will change your combat style. I do wish they gave you the ability to change weapons. There are a few different characters in the game that you can use in the daily challenges that have their own movesets, but unless that's a very late game thing, you don't seem to have the ability to do that with your main character. I would like to see a little bit more of that, because that's going to give you a little bit more choice, a little bit more variety. But otherwise, she's just sort of stuck with the daggers, which is fair enough. You know, they're certainly fun enough to use, and it feels good, but maybe they could have done a little bit more with that. All right, let's cook these up. A couple of level 3 gems once we swap that around. So I need to make sure that that goes in one of those dishes and is given to the right person, more to the point. Could put 2 in here. A few more in there. And then hopefully get rid of that poison by matching it up. What I really like is there's an element of strategy before you even go into the match. Simply based on the items that you take in. There's actually a fairly significant variety of items available when it comes to cookery stuff, things that you can add to your recipes. There's things like a slow cooker, which for longer matches is very, very good because you're able to start it off with level 1 ingredients and just leave the stuff there. And by the end of the match, hopefully, you end up with higher level ingredients that you can use. So there's a number of different ways to do it. And I found that to be quite impressive, considering that this could have really been a very basic match 3, and it would have probably been just fine with the theme. But they decided, you know, we didn't really want to settle for that. We want to add some interesting elements into this. We want to mix it up. Hey, hey, hey. There we go. The stirs together and get a combo. I did not. Let's go out and get some more ingredients. And it ends up being surprisingly challenging. And it's not just about quickness of thought. In fact, in the main game, it's not about that level of speed at all. That's a concern for some of you. It's like, oh god, you know, it's way too stressful. I can't deal with the speed at which it's asking me to match. Well, a lot of this, you can come into it with a plan. And that's how you're going to do well at the game, not through pure speed. Now, outside of that, the story's pretty reasonable. Decent voice acting, I would say. Not incredible, but by no means bad. Interesting enough story, and honestly, it's that theme that really ties the whole thing together. Because it's an unusual theme. It's not the kind of theme that you see in video games all that often. I certainly can't think of all that many games that have attempted to do cooking in this particular way. Oh, I've seen games like Overcooked come along, but the idea of it being a cook-off battle and in this kind of strange world in which monsters are regularly eaten for food and cooked by battle chefs, that ties the whole thing together quite nicely. It's a good theme. Theme shouldn't be underestimated when it comes to video games. It often is, more so than, say, board games. I mean, with a board game, you've got to have a strong theme, and if you don't have a strong theme, then you're going to be in quite a lot of trouble. The game's most likely going to be quite dull. With video games, it's less that, simply because there's often less abstraction in the game. Here, though, I think that it matters a lot more. And if it were anything else, if it was just a brawler combined with a match 3, it frankly wouldn't make a great deal of sense, more so than anything else. It's like, well, why? Why would you use this particular combination of game mechanics? In this case, though, you can very clearly see why they did it. I can't really think of a better way to do a cook-off style game, honestly, than using match 3 to do it and judging it based on the quality of your gem matches and the combinations of the various gems available here. That works pretty well. It's a good abstraction, it's a good use of game mechanics, and it leads to a surprising amount of strategy. I don't really have a huge number of complaints about the game other than its potential longevity. The daily cook-offs are pretty fun, but like I said, that lack of multiplayer mode, it is a little bit puzzling, especially when the whole theme is competitive cook-offs. Being able to play that against each other, maybe sabotage the opponent, and very much race against the clock, I think would be particularly compelling. And I'd enjoy that an awful lot, particularly on the Nintendo Switch, which is an ideal platform for that. But it isn't a particularly expensive game. The campaign is of reasonable length. You know, it's a good solid 10-hour campaign. Replayability, there probably isn't a lot of it, but the daily challenge modes would keep you coming back if you really, really enjoyed this combo of gameplay. And I do. I think it's a great combination. And an awesome set of ideas. The only other complaints I'd really have are in the aesthetic. The animation is fine. The main problem I've got, really, is that some of the backgrounds really look quite unfinished. As in, they could have used a little bit more work. They're fairly nicely drawn, but the level of detail in some places just isn't really there, which is the main beef that I've got with it. Alright, that's cooked up fairly nicely. We do need to add the recipe ingredient in, though. I'm thinking I can't really fit this in here unless I get a match. I can't fit this in at all. That's the main problem. I have screwed it up, I think. I've got 1 minute 30 to try and salvage this dish. Combine those together. There we go. Got rid of the poison, but did damage the ingredients in the process. Now I can fit the Cragmore shell in there. There we go. That's good. That's good. Throw a bit more bone in there. We can get the matchup from that. If we stir it quickly, we can get a combo bonus, which will make the dish better. Fantastic. There's probably not enough green in there. Is that a little bit of a concern? But if I can only just pull the green out of here, will this fit now? It will. Okay. Now, I think we're good, actually. These look pretty good, all things considered. We've got the combo matching, everything looks fine. Alright, I think I'm gonna hand this in. This is the primarily green one. Bit of poison in there, I will get stung for that. And here's the one with the blue. Not too shabby, I think. Hopefully we'll win on the basis of that.
Thank you.
Alright, let's see how well I did, and then I'll wrap this video up.
Radiant.
Well, she nailed the earthiness. And the water. Penalized for poison. Did she use the key ingredient?
Phenomenal.
Looks like she did. Mine's better, though. Oh, come on! Not enough earth and water? Well, we got a 25 off it anyway, because there was enough water in there at least. It's tricky to get that balance. We did alright. There we go, we beat her on that. Let's see if that won us the day. She didn't get enough earth in there. I got plenty of earth in here. You should love this one. Oh, massive sting, because I didn't put the key ingredient in there. I think, no, I don't know, it'll be close. It'll be close. 249. Did we get it?
Victory go.
Oh, 5 points. Oh well, never mind. So that's what Battle Chef Brigade is. Really cool theme. Nice combination of two different mechanics to really be more than the sum of its parts. A surprising amount of strategy. And a decent length campaign with daily challenges. I've really quite enjoyed it. Hopefully if they decide to add any DLC or expansions, I'd like to see a bit more emphasis on the brawling. Maybe some more choices in terms of weapons. And of course, that all-important multiplayer cook-off mode. Without that, the game does feel a little incomplete. But it's original as hell, and what they have together works very, very well. It's a solid title. Battle Chef Brigade, ladies and gentlemen, available for $20 or your regional equivalent on Steam and also on Nintendo Switch. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, by all means, do feel free to click the like button. If not, the dislike button is right over there. And I'll see you next time.